sucks for you fighters. But that is truly the way it is. The industry isn't as big as people think. It's gonna get weird, and it's gonna get weird real fast. And if you think it's gonna get dangerous, it is. Boobs make money.
Can you dig it? That could be fight of the night. There are no losers in this dojo.
Oh, hey, see there, Jon Nutt for Full Metal Dojo. Again, this is a little testeroo for our FB Live. I really am just doing a meeting with my buddy Brendan Mendez, producer on the other side of the world. Why? Because I'm in Montana at the moment. Montana. Big sky country. God's country. It's beautiful here. I've seen elk every night. There are large horses over there, Clydesdales. There are Belgians. And it's amazing. But we're going to be doing much more content provision in the future as we kicked ass and took names during this pandemic. And I thought I would just throw some feelings out there, talk live. Now, I've spoken live before. I had a little Fox Sports Asia show that was called Live from Bangkok, not Live from Montana. And obviously, I've had Eat, Play, Fight. We've done a bunch of these things. Courses have become big. I don't know who courses are, you know what I mean? But courses have become big, teaching online. And I expect that I'll do some of that in the future. I would like to give a shout out to Tang Mo. This is Tang Mo for being just an icon of MMA in Asia. What I will tell you is that this is not a podcast where I'll be discussing the UFCs of the week or any fight shows of the week. Unless they have to do with things that Full Metal Dojo is doing. So an example of that would be Sean Strickland, right? He fought over the weekend, beat Uriah Hall. There's also a video of him going online right now, going around. It's not viral by any means, I don't think. But he is going against 3 people. Why is that important? Because in Fight Circus, we have the old 3 versus 1, MMA symmetrical championships, if you will. Panda Banks did it so well, and I saw that they did it in Poland this past weekend as well. Fight Circus obviously doing it better. So let's talk first about the break in the chain, okay? We got 5 topics. I'm going to ramble for about 10 to 15 minutes. Let's see if I can ramble for about 10 to 15 minutes. 5 topics. I wrote them down on a sheet of paper, because I'm literate. My 5 topics that I was going to go over were the break in the Asian MMA chain, an events coordination, just how to. And basically when I say how to, I mean that's how to not fail completely. Now you can fail going upwards, as we all know. That's a big thing these days, failing going upwards. But I'm saying if you don't want to lose your shirt and your pants at the same time, these are the how-tos of events coordination. 3 would be Fight Circus, the future, what we're going to do, because there is a heavy future for the Fight Circus. 4, where do babies come from? Baby making music. We'll be talking about people like Barry White. He's one of the best people to make love to. A lot of girls like Adele, Dido back in the day. A lot of baby making music to Dido. And then 5, Patreon account over GoFundMe. You'll notice that Full Metal Dojo started a Patreon channel, and why we did that has to do with the break in the chain, the first one. Why we did that and why we chose to go with Patreon over somebody like GoFundMe. So let's go to it. Topic 1, breaking the Asian MMA chain. You'll notice that during the pandemic, a lot of organizations just went to the wayside. They were not unable to do shows. They chose not to do them. They chose not to lose their shirt. Why is that? Well, again, a lot of these companies, if they haven't gone and raised huge amounts of capital, they're going to have to save that for post-pandemic. Everybody doesn't know what the pandemic is going to do, so they just kind of sit on their hands and they wait. The real break in the Asian MMA chain, though, comes because, I haven't talked to my former colleagues over at Fox Sports Asia, but Fox Sports Asia was purchased along with ESPN. They're both owned by the Mouse now. So they're both under the WME-IMG group, and they're both under Disney and all of that type of stuff. This is important. Why? Because for smaller organizations that were trying to come up in Cambodia, Myanmar, Laos, Thailand, Malaysia's got Astro. They can go to Astro, I guess. But you went to larger broadcast partners because if you're not on broadcast or you're not selling heavy pay-per-views, generally mixed martial arts organizations crash. We survived because we have a good, strong fan base in Bangkok. We also treated our business like it was a band, not like it was an MMA promotion. And if you've noticed over the years, I've wrapped that promotion around myself. That's because I believed in myself and I didn't believe in other ones. And why does that matter? It matters because if you went out, okay, and you were trying to make a promotion successful, Muay Thai promotion, I mean, you'll notice Glory Kickboxing filed for bankruptcy during this time. Now they went and got other investors on board and they're coming back and they're going to kick ass. But how many of these larger organizations that you thought were like untouchable have gotten kind of crushed? You'll also notice that it gave time for UFC to streamline itself. So the UFC, you'll notice like they just had the event this past weekend. Why was that at the Apex Center and not at the T-Mobile? Why was Conor McGregor at the T-Mobile? Well, we all know why Conor McGregor was at the T-Mobile. But the industry isn't as big as people think. Even the UFC, now that I'm here in the States, I talk to people and like, some people are UFC fans, some people are not. I mean, NFL is still king here, right? But tennis is king here. PGA is king here. It's all bigger. The same weekend that I was at the Conor McGregor fight, which was the first weekend that Las Vegas was doing shows, right? It was the first time that T-Mobile was back. So this is the weekend of July 7th, about a month ago. 23,000 people were at the Conor McGregor show. Huge numbers. I remember going on StubHub. I think the cheapest ticket was like $400. Crazy. Right? Want to know what else was crazy? At the Allegiant Airways down the way, Garth Brooks was playing. 64,000 people were at that show. 64,000 people were at that show. What happened was if Fox is owned by Disney and ESPN is owned by Disney and there are smaller organizations who are going out for broadcast deals, why are they going to give money to smaller organizations? Why would they do that? They have the UFC on tap. Right? So if they have the UFC on tap, they'll basically go to like smaller organizations who are trying to get their capital and be like, you know what? Do you have a better product than the UFC? Do you have bigger stars than the UFC? ESPN actually wrote a magazine article about this, so you can go and Google that one. ESPN MMA breaking the chain. During this pandemic, with events coordination being off, there is a huge break in the chain and people are going to have to adjust and try to get around it. And I don't know how other organizations are going to go around it. I know how we went around it. Now let's talk just on the second topic, events coordination. How do events coordinations even work? How does an event make money? There's really three types of way. And again, the pandemic has streamlined that for everybody. We kind of know how that is functional. Now the first one is just doing a regular event. That event can be a comedy show. That event can be a DJ show. That event can be just a regular party, a rave, an EDM concert. I don't care what you're doing. Weird Al Yankovic. Doesn't matter. But for MMA, the way it's done is F&B, food and beverage, merchandise, ticket sales, broadcast deals and or pay-per-views, right? Food and beverage, merch, ticket sales, sponsorship deals. I mean, that's the king. Now you have to be into sales for that. I personally am not into sales. People think that I'm into sales. I'm not into sales. I'm just passionate about what I do, and that allows people to believe in me, and thus I can market their product. And marketing is going to go down during this pandemic time. You know, whose large companies have large advertising budgets now? So if you were a guy, and again, ticket sales during this time, at least in Bangkok, you can't even do live events at the moment. Certain other places don't want to go to live events either. So it makes it very hard. That's just one way though. So most people, when they're throwing a party or they're throwing an MMA show, what they would do is they would try to sell as many tickets as they can. They try to have their fighters sell as many tickets as they can. They try to get a broadcast deal that gives them money. They try to get sponsorship deals that make them money. They try to sell merch, food and beverage, and then maybe if they're lucky enough, they go on pay-per-view avenues. Like Fight.tv is one of those. You know what I mean? But then you have to be big enough for Fight TV to share the monetary gains with you. So I mean, sometimes these companies will take 50%. Literally, if you're on some pay-per-view platforms, they'll ask for 50% of your pay-per-view because they feel like their marketing is stronger than your marketing. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. You're going to get hurt. And that will bring us to our last topic at the very end of this, number 5, Patreon. Why? Okay, so you got the break in the chain. You got no smaller TV sources in Asia who are trying to buy Muay Thai, kickboxing, MMA. This is important because the people that I'm going to be talking to in the future are more fighters. And they're going to wonder why organizations like myself switched over to Circus fights instead of doing just hardcore MMA. Remember, for fighters out there, I say this to people all the time. If I give you a fight purse of about 10,000 baht, okay, and I sell tickets at 1,000 baht, how many people do you have to bring for it to be worth it to a promoter for me to even break even? You got to bring 10 people. If you can't bring 10 people, the game has changed. Everybody's going to be looked at this way, especially with the Paul brothers doing what the Paul brothers doing and other people doing what they're doing. If fighters can't bring an ROI to a promoter, the promoters are not going to have the fighters on that card. And it's sad to say, but that's the way it's going to be. It's not going to be about who's the best. The UFC has who is the best. And if not them, then you can go down the line to the other promotions. But for guys that are smaller like myself, I will 100% look at fighters in terms of what they can bring back. So, you know, people think Instagram followings don't matter. Yeah, they do. They don't matter to me, mine, because I don't really have to care about that type of stuff. But you do. It's a do as I say, not as I do thing. I make my money from other avenues on shows. Great Cam Soda deal. Thank you, Cam Soda. You guys did a great job. That bare knuckle show, big salute to Dave Feldman and everything he and the team in Philadelphia are doing. I can't wait to be in Philadelphia next week, locking down more shows for Southeast Asia. But fighters, if you think that your numbers don't matter, they do. I actually think in the future with our Patreon account, I'm going to go over to fighters and be like, do you want to fight? Now, if I'm going to give you $300 and my Patreon account is like $10 subscriptions, then you need 30 people to sign up to my subscription base in order for me to give you a fight. Isn't that horrible? That sucks for you fighters. But that is truly the way it is. And that's the break in the chain. Over in Asia right now, like, I don't really think that there's going to be many Asian MMA organizations just popping up right and left. You either are one of those companies that does it via the old way of events coordinating like any party. 2, you go out and you raise capital, right? So you're one of these large companies that can go out and raise capital. And that all is through networking too. You don't think that like I have the same connections as a Dana White, a Chatri Sitchatong, a Shingo, any of these guys. They all know that a Scott Coker, a Robbie Timmers, you know what I mean, for Glory. These guys all have their own networks. I have my own network. And again, I didn't go to school with the Fertitta brothers who were able to put in $50 million and then launch the UFC, which was almost failing before that UFC TV show came. So now it's all streamlined. I mean, the UFC, again, I think the pandemic was fantastic for them. There were certain companies that the pandemic was absolutely fantastic for, and I think they were one of them. And I think that's why you see Uriah Hall and Strickland fighting in the Apex, not in the T-Mobile, because, again, why would they go to the T-Mobile, not sell it out, not get all those revenue streams, because they're a functioning business. And here's another one. People need to realize which companies are actually doing like a business model where they're trying to get instant revenue back and which ones are trying to become a brand or a lifestyle. I mean, I do these shows because I love to do these shows. I was also in the rental market in Phuket for all pre-pandemic. So I was making an earn by renting out condos, renting out houses, and if anybody out there needs to rent a holiday villa, holler at your boy. I will get you a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom with a pool, Bali-style villa for $1,200 a month. $1,200 US, 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom in Phuket, the dream, the pearl, living it. So again, you have the events coordination company that does party-wise to be a business. You have the events coordination company of raising huge amounts of capital with plans of losing huge amounts of capital, right? And then number 3 is the cash grab. And now this one has been streamlined during this pandemic again. So what is that? That is your Trillers of the world right now. I mean, Triller's going to survive and Triller's going to go on because they were competing against TikTok originally, right? They were an application. They're in the tech world, but they were doing so well, they got into fighting. Just like Cam Soda was doing so well with their girls taking off their shirts in front of the cameras that they've decided to go into freak show fights with me. Or I heard that OnlyFans is going to go into like race car driving. They're going to go into a bunch of other things. They did so well during this time with girls having that A to B way of making money through the internet, and then they would take off their tops. Boobs make money. So there are certain companies that did well. Triller, though, that last one in terms of events company, cash grabs events. Cash grabs events are somebody that, once again, can do a pay-per-view because really nobody around the world is selling huge amounts of tickets these days, huge amounts of merch, huge amounts of food and beverage. So they go after these huge pay-per-views. Those pay-per-views, you got to get people that are pay-per-view worthy. The Paul brothers, once again, coming from the Disney background, coming from the YouTube background, have huge fan followings. More people, I wouldn't be surprised if a Conor McGregor versus a Jake Paul happened in the future. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. Why? Because again, like, you got the biggest guy in YouTube taking on the biggest guy in MMA. People might think that's crazy, but it makes a ton of money. It's referred to as a cash grab in this industry. Why? Because again, you get a pay-per-view platform on, spend $200,000, but they're not spending $200,000. They're spending $20 million, right? Triller's spending like $20 million in order to make like $60 million, right? From a smaller guy's point of view, it would be something along the lines of like me going out and trying to spend $200,000 trying to make $2 million. You know what I mean? So you can see where that type of thing goes through. Again, the types of events coordination. 1, traditional, selling tickets, making broadcast deals, bringing sponsors on board. Number 2, raising a ton of capital. Maybe you don't even have a fan base yet. You raise the capital and you're going to just try to wing it. Good luck. Number 3, making a cash grab, which would be, again, basically putting a lot of money down. It's gambling, right? It's just straight up gambling. Putting a lot of money down to try to make a lot of money back. And that would happen through pay-per-view sales generally during this crazy pandemic time. Now, this brings me in my rambling. Man, I can talk. Gifted gab, I tell you. Topic number 3 that I was going to go on, Fight Circus. Fight Circus has a huge future. I mean, Kung Lee and people like Kung Lee, people like Bas Rutten, we've talked to them and they think it's an absolute joke and that it has no survival skills whatsoever. It's not going to make it. They are dead wrong. I've been doing underground MMA fights in Bangkok, Thailand for over a decade. And I can tell you what's successful. I've worked for everybody in the industry, from Fox Sports Asia to covering the UFCs to covering the Mayweather-McGregor to cover. Actually, you know what? I haven't done any Professional Fighters League shows. Haven't done any PFL. But back in the day when they were World Series of Fighting, I covered them. And that didn't make it, did it? Fight Circus will make it. Fight Circus will make it because the hardcore fans of the industry of fighting don't pay any money. They're kind of the worst fans ever. The casual fans are the ones that are making this industry go. I mean, how is McGregor? Right? McGregor's McGregor not because the hardcore fans are buying the tickets. he's making it because people in Boston think that they're more Irish than people from Dublin, Ireland. So they're buying his whiskey, they're buying his kit, they're buying the video games, they're doing it all for him. You know? So Fight Circus is going to make it. Why? Because Strickland is doing 3 versus 1. Because Poland is doing 3 versus 1. Because when you're trying to get an ROI in this industry, you're trying to have the smallest amount of pay bring back the biggest return, like any business. So if I can have 3 Thai guys that I don't have to pay that much take on Steve Panda Banks and it goes viral, I'm going to do that all day, every weekend, and it's going to be fantastic. Now, why did I shut down show number 3? Personal reasons. It's none of your business. I don't actually believe that people should go on Facebook and go live and talk about their personal stuff. If I have family issues, I got family issues. Everybody has them. So you shut down the show. It was going to get shut down anyway, right? It was going to get shut down by the pandemic anyway. And there's no shows going on in Thailand right now. 0 shows. Channel 8, Channel 7, Lumpini, Rajadamnun, Max Muay Thai. No shows. Goose egg, my friends. So I was going to get shut down anyway. So it just gives me time to get in the mix. So I came over to the States, took care of family business, and I went over to Vegas. I covered the McGregor-Poirier fight, and I also worked with the High Rollers team. Now, why was I working with the High Rollers team? Because some of their team is the Cam Soda team that's behind Fight Circus. High Rollers is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu on weed. That's what it is. Amazing. There are spots that are opening up in that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu sector because Sakuraba's show isn't going as fluidly possibly as it might be. Eddie Bravo Invitational, I haven't seen that in a while. Grappling is taking off like marathons or like Taekwondo. The viewership isn't as great, but if they have connections, they can get broadcast deals. If they can get broadcast deals, somebody's paying for that show. And if somebody's paying for that show, they can do it more regularly. And apparently weed here in America is just, Las Vegas just reeked of it. You just would walk down the street and it'd smell like it. It's like Humboldt County. It's like, am I in Amsterdam? Are we in Amsterdam? And yeah, everybody was smoking it. And everybody in that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu community smokes it. So like it kind of goes hand in hand. A lot of synergies there. So if big Mary Jane companies can't publicize themselves and can't get marketing on other mainstream platforms, they can do it via these BJJ competitions. So I worked with the High Rollers team. It was a real good event. I enjoyed being on the microphone. It was probably the hardest MC work I've ever done because, well, the whole crowd is stoned. So they gave no love. Like, they would chuckle and laugh like, yeah, it's getting pretty good. It's pretty funny. No love, no feedback. I'm in Myanmar and I'm like, oh! People are losing their minds. Oh my God, he just said make some noise in my language. Big round-eyed dude just yelling in Burmese. Crazy. So they love, whatever. High Rollers is good. It gave me time to talk to Mike. It gave me time. Icy Mike, again, salute to that human being. He is a gem, just an absolute gem amongst the coal, a diamond in the rough. And we discussed the future. The next one that we will be doing on Cam Soda looks like it's going to be a Halloween show. I know that that's a way off, but I don't know how long I'm going to be in the States. I don't really plan on going back to Thailand until I can do shows in Thailand. Now, the Phuket, the Pearl of the Andaman, they have the sandbox going. So anybody that's vaccinated can go over and jump into that sandbox goodness. I would suggest it because the ecotourism right now, it's never been more beautiful. That place is gorgeous. You can go to Happy Jack's. You can go to Ali's Barbecue. You can go to Uni's. And you can go to Koh Phi Phi Island where the beach was filmed with Leonardo DiCaprio. And I will tell you what, sharks have come back. The corals come back. Now it has respawned like a phoenix. Caw-caw, caw-caw. And I'm telling you what, it's beautiful, so you should definitely go there. Phuket, Thailand, you should go there. And you should check out the Phuket News with JP Mastanza. And you should check out our little show that we were doing, Phuket, Thailand. You should go there. So I plan on going back late September, early October. We have plans to do quite a few different things. But before that, what are the plans for Fight Circus? The plans for Fight Circus are to possibly do a show in America. I haven't actually, I've brought that up to personal friends, but I haven't actually said that anywhere live. Not like this is breaking news or anything like that. But I definitely plan on doing shows in the States. Now, I never planned on doing shows in the States with Full Metal Dojo. Why would I? I don't think if I brought the brand Full Metal Dojo over here, it would kick ass and take names. But I do plan on bringing Fight Circus over here. Why would I do that? Because lots of people are inviting me. Venues are inviting me. Sponsors are asking me if I can do it. Now, the funny one is how are you going to do that, John? Nevada State Athletic Commission's not going to let you do 2 versus 1. So what? I will work around it. And that is where the surprises will come on in the future. I'm not going to tell you all my secrets. But believe you me, I'm going to work around athletic commissions. They're just an obstacle. I'm going to go around it, go over it, move around it, and I'm going to get things done. Lethwei was done in Cheyenne. I think I can do 2-1, 3-1, intergender, big versus small, all those. Do you want to see a fight that's only elbows? Do you want to see a fight that's only knees? You want to see a fight that's only elbows and knees? Ah, my friends, it's going to be so much fun. Look for me in Vegas in September. I will be looking to do one in Vegas this September. It's going to be crazy how I get around it. You guys will love it. It's going to be masterful, magical. Bob Sapp. Big shout out to Bobby Sapp. Would you like to see Chuck Liddell take on Randy Couture again? Probably not. Probably not. Would you like to see Chuck Liddell take on Bank, No Money, and some other random fat guy? Some other keyboard warrior? Some other guy that just talks crap about Chuck Liddell for years, but has never really ever been in a fight by himself. But I'm going to give him a fight, and he's going to take it, because not only am I paying him to take it, but he's like, I can do this. There's 2 other dudes. There's 2 other dudes. How could we not win? There's 3 against Chuck Liddell. Right? Right? Bro, it's going to get weird, and it's going to get weird real fast. And if you think it's going to get dangerous, it is. We're also going to do fights in phone booths. Already done a bunch of them. I test things out. I don't just go in there blind. You know, this is not blindfolded fights. But we should do that. See what I did there? So we will do blindfolded fights, because that's like a usual, regular thing in Thailand. The one that I'm happiest about, the one that I'm super excited about, is Indian leg wrestling. Indian leg wrestling turned out to be so good for us. And I think you should just watch out for Indian leg wrestling championships, or the Indian leg wrestling federation, or the Indian leg wrestling entertainment that's going to come out. So that is 2 young ladies of beautiful, who are way prettier than you. And they put their legs together like this, and they have to flip one of them over. These women will look dynamic. And I plan on bringing the kind of GCW or AEW act towards going at it. If none of you are wrestling fans, that wouldn't matter to you either. I went from growing up with the WWF to not liking the WWE to enjoying that time where it was like the Attitude Era and the WCW was there, like the whole NWO thing, to then falling out of it and not liking it all. And then now I like it again. I like it again because of AEW, and I like it again because of GCW. That Nick Gage character with the pizza cutter, and he got Domino's as a sponsor when he was going against Chris Jericho. Oh, guy is genius. He is doing fantastic things. I'm very impressed by what he's doing. And that'll bring us to our last topic, Patreon, not GoFundMe. Now, platforms are changing, and the way that people are taking in their content is changing all the time, okay? YouTube is crushing it, as we know. Netflix is crushing it. I know that for Thailand, and this is just a Thailand note, True, I can imagine, is taking a hit. The cable boxes are taking hits. With people not having as much money and not as much spending power and not as much of a disposable income. I know Thai families that are just buying one phone and then getting on Wi-Fi and then just using that Wi-Fi. So they're not hooking up AIS. They're not hooking up One2Go. They're not hooking up True with anything. And that has got to hurt, ladies and gentlemen. So there's multiple angles and multiple platforms. In terms of pay-per-view, as I've said, there's always been platforms. Pre the pandemic, you could go out and you could get on a pay-per-view screen. If you went out and you made your own app pre-pandemic, it would cost you an arm and a leg. If you went out on, again, like a fight.tv, 50%. They take 50%. They believe their marketing is that good that they will take a huge chunk of your revenue. A lot of people back in the States, I didn't really know this, but GoFundMe is big, but it's really a charity. And that's why we chose not to do the whole GoFundMe page. I don't believe fighters out there should really be going out like charitable organizations. One of the things that I notice, especially in Thailand, is on a class structure note, it's how you feel about it. Now, this is a personal thing, and I don't care. And I'm definitely not going to tell you what to do, but I find it absolutely shocking. I've talked to young women who are basically like, I can't do anything. I can't do anything. And that's why I'm setting up an OnlyFans. I can't do anything. I have no options. And so I'm going to take off my shirt and show you my boobs and try to get people in Germany to give me money. I personally think that's bullshit. You could get a job at 7-Eleven. Maybe it's actually pretty tough times out there, so maybe you can't. I would think that you could get a job at 7-Eleven, right? But it's whether or not your brain thinks that working at 7-Eleven is subpar to being on OnlyFans. That's just you. That's just you. If you believe that going into, loose, pornographic materials is better than working at 7-Eleven, that's you. Do your thing. Whatever. For me, I didn't believe that I should go out on a GoFundMe and start a GoFundMe page because I didn't think I should be asking for money for fighters like a charitable organization. But to go over to that, our Patreon account, I'm not going to take any of the money. Me personally, I'm not. When people subscribe to the Patreon account and look at our channel, I'm not taking any of the cash. My team's not taking any of the cash. 100% of the money that goes on from subscribers to our Patreon account will go towards Thai fighters, hungry Thai fighters, people that, once again, need the money more than I do, and need an outlet. That's the thing about fighting. Why do you do it? Well, a lot of these people, it's like a boys and girls club, like a YMCA boys and girls club. If I didn't give them a fight, they would be fighting in the streets. They would be robbing somebody. They would be breaking into somebody's house. So I believe that I'm getting them into a gym and allowing them an outlet such as martial arts that, again, straightens their life out, puts them on a better path. And with this Patreon account that we're doing, check it out, www.fullmetaldojo. I think it's Patreon and then /Full Metal Dojo. I know Brandon will put it in there afterwards, so I'm okay. But yeah, the Patreon account, the cash there will go towards hungry up-and-coming fighters, whether that be in boxing, bare knuckle boxing, Muay Thai, Lethwei, and or the Fight Circus bevy of weird stuff that goes on. So yeah, Patreon account, we've got one. And again, I actually will do not necessarily pay-per-views, but when I get back to Thailand, I'll do live events and it'll be on that Patreon account. Are you with me? So we will do them also. We will do them for an American audience, just because I noticed that those are the people that have disposable incomes. Those are the ones that are putting it towards things like this. So I will once again do my fights at 9 in the morning, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. over on the other thing. So those were the 5 topics. I feel like I've talked for long enough, but I do want to give a shout out. This is the whole point of why I was even doing this in the first place. I got a group of 4 premium subscribers for our Patreon account this past month that have joined up. Premium subscribers need to get some love. So I'm going to, off the brain, give you some poetry. Jessica Hudnall, you are the Bette Midler of my Patreon account. You are the wind beneath my wings, darling. Without you, there are certain fighters like Samyang Warren Dream Man who would not have rice. Facts are facts. Jessica, you are a round circular tube that goes next to the public pool. You're a lifesaver. Andrew McNerlin, premium subscriber. Andrew, You, my friend, are the best Andrew on the planet at this moment. Out of all the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of Andrews out there, you're not a Drew, you're not an Andy, you're the best Andrew that you could ever be. And I personally, hats off to you, sir. Bringing us over to Adam Witkowski. Is that Wachowski? Witkowski? Adam has a Polish last name, and the Polish people are my people. That's who I'm going out for. That's who I want. Because those people love the Fight Circus. They are the MVPs of Fight Circus. I see what you did there, Brandon. Put it in my brain. Adam, I got to tell you, if you have any suggestions or you want to see anything, get in touch via that Patreon account and tell us what you want. Because I bet with a last name like yours, I got a last name Nutt, remember? So Johnny Topper. I bet you have some fantastic ideas, and I want to hear from them. I want to hear about your ideas, sir. I want to know what you want. And then last but not least, Ryan Hatton. Ryan Hatton, again, a man so tight. Put a lump of coal up that butt and you'd have a diamond. That's a Ferris Bueller joke. That's a Ferris Bueller joke. He is a gem. Again, another gem. A pearl. A pearl. You open up the clam, you get the pearl. Like Phuket. He is the pearl of, I think, London nowadays. Chicago. Chicago's own Ryan Hatton. There's only one Ryan Hatton. There's only one Ryan Hatton. Running around, making their town, living in a Ryan Hatton wonderland. That's that song. So this has been my first little chat on Facebook Live. Thank you for joining us. If you joined me live, you probably had nothing better to do. That's my guess. You probably had nothing better to do. This will be chopped up by one Mr. Brandon Mendez and the Full Metal Dojo team. From all of us to all of you, my hat's off to you. If you enjoyed it, great. Please go check out our Patreon account. If you didn't, no skin off my back. And again, if you got ideas, like I know Adam King has ideas, please toss them into the group. Let me know what you would like to see. Would you like to see only elbows? Would you like to see only knees? Would you like to see only elbows and knees? This has been Jon Nutt for Full Metal Dojo, signing off.
Can you dig it? That could be fight of the night. There are no losers in this dojo.